Beaucoup, beaucoup plus profond que ce que nous pouvons imaginer. David Icke. J'ai entendu parler de David Icke il y a 22 ans. Une de mes patientes dentaires a mentionné The Biggest Secret, le plus grand secret. Le titre m'a intrigué et j'ai acheté ce livre. Jusqu'à ce moment-là, je n'étais pas un lecteur, mais mon âme m'a poussé à lire ce livre de 520 pages. Le plus grand secret est un livre unique et à juste titre surnommé le livre qui changera le monde. Personne qui le lira ne sera plus jamais le même. Ce livre m'a certainement changé pour toujours. À mon avis, Kristen et Jean Nolan, les fondateurs d'Inspire Channel, créent des vidéos parfaites. J'étais inspirée de traduire ces vidéos en français et en espagnol afin de partager cette information cruciale avec le public français et espagnol en éveil. Profitez-en et partagez.
The biggest trap that researchers and seekers of truth can fall into is reaching at any point the idea that they've got it. We're not awake, we're awakening. Because as Socrates said, wisdom is knowing how little we know. Whatever we think we know, there's always more to know. And so I've gone on going deeper in the rabbit hole and asking where all this is coming from, what's going on in the world today. There's no way it could be orchestrated purely by people sitting around a table deciding their next move. It's much bigger than that. So how big? Where does it go? Where does it come from? What we see and therefore think we know about what's going on is only a fractional part of what there is to know. So what I've done over the last 32 years is span out from just the daily news and what's happening, what Klaus Schwab has said or Gates has said or any of these people. And I want to know what's behind them. I realized that beyond the global cult, the global secret society network was a non-human force that was manipulating human society to its own ends. The agenda that's unfolding is anti-human. All essential areas of human life are being targeted. If you awaken to expand your consciousness beyond the third dimension, beyond the fourth dimension, and you start to enter the realms of the fifth dimension, you're then tapping in to information, knowledge, awareness, knowing that is not being tampered with by the simulation. And that's what we call waking up. That's when people start to see things. Why didn't I see it before? Because you were within the simulated, manipulated reality before. This cult, which is behind world events and the direction of the world and the chaos that's unfolding, is actually an extension, an expression of this lower astral consciousness and the entities that reside there. And so I then started looking at what we call reincarnation. Because my question then was, when I looked at the simulation part of this and how so many people in the simulation, because of the way it's manipulated, don't have a nice time. You go to South America, you go to Central America, you go to the Middle East, you go to Africa, you go to vast parts of Asia. A lot of those people are not having a good time and they're not having a life that they'd really like to live. So why would people, or consciousness, souls, if you like, want to come here for any reason? But the second thing, if you take reincarnation, is why would they keep coming back? But when I've looked at reincarnation, the evidence for it is very, very compelling. It's very, very, very solid when you look at the totality of it and all the experiences that people have had. So then I started questioning what the spirit world was, because I read a lot about people who had been regressed through hypnosis, etc., back to what they call the between life state. In other words, between experiences in this reality. And I started reading what people were saying, and the common themes were very, very compelling. And when I was reading these things, I was thinking, but that's a hierarchical prison as well. People were talking about, oh yeah, well, then I have to go in front of elders to discuss my last life, and then I have to go to this kind of school to learn more about this, that, and the other. And you're going, what? We are consciousness. We are all that is, has been, and ever can be. We are spirit, eternal spirit, connected to all spirit. We are ultimately all that is, has been, and ever can be. What's all this about? And then I looked at reincarnation again, and I looked at the basic story of it, which we're asked to accept if you believe in it. I certainly do. But hold on, if you take the universe, the size of the universe as projected by mainstream science, compared with that, planet Earth is the equivalent of a billionth of a pinhead. So you're telling me that you have to keep coming back onto this billionth of a pinhead to learn lessons so that you can reach a state of enlightenment which allows you not to have to do that anymore. Well, that makes no sense to me. I'm sorry. What, was all infinity to explore and you've got to do this for a billionth of a pinhead? What? So that made no sense. But on the same time, reincarnation, from the evidence that I've looked at over many, many years, does make sense that it's happening. So if I put reincarnation into another context, what if this level of the simulation is not the only level of the simulation? What if, when you leave the body, if you leave it in a certain vibrational state, you're still in the simulation, you're just in other levels of it? And so what's happening is that soul's consciousness is being recycled in and out of this reality over and over again. And basically, one of the things that it's doing through all the emotional trauma or upset that comes from that, and the way this world is structured, is that you're giving off low vibrational emotion and thought all the time. Depression, fear, the big one, anxiety, resentment, hatred. And what do those emotions resonate to in frequency terms? I say to the lower levels of the astral. That's where that energy is going. And what that's doing is feeding energy into this lower astral, which is the realm of that which is ultimately manipulating the world of the seen, the human world, via people like Schwab and Gates and all these other people. When you look at this global cult, this secret society network, it is serving the interests of this lower astral, lower fourth dimensional force. And we, by the effect of that manipulation, are feeding, empowering with our energy that lower astral force, which obviously brings back the image of Morpheus in the Matrix holding up the battery and saying the machines have turned humans into one of these. Remember that first Matrix movie where you see the babies and the energy that's being generated by the babies. It's symbolically exactly what's going on.
Réjouissons-nous, car la folie que nous vivons est une illusion qui force de plus en plus de gens à s'éveiller. Cependant, nous devons avoir de la compassion pour ceux qui sont incapables de s'éveiller parce que les injections d'ARNM ont créé une séparation d'avec l'âme individuelle. La seule façon de sortir de l'illusion, c'est par la non-conformité absolue. Les plus courageux ont consciemment choisi de sortir de l'illusion et continueront leur évolution de la conscience sur la spirale ascendante de cristal. Je sais que mon expérience en prison a été une bénédiction, car elle m'a forcé à quitter le Canada et ce qui était perçu comme une vie parfaite de dentiste très prospère et de mère de 2 merveilleux enfants. J'ai accédé au courage en moi. Je me suis abandonné à mon âme et j'ai sauté dans l'inconnu complet. Aujourd'hui, je suis en mesure d'offrir des conseils à ceux qui choisissent de vivre en Colombie ou en Équateur. Un séjour de longue durée aux cascades à Café Retiro coûte $120 par semaine. Pendant votre séjour, élargissez votre conscience avec un atelier de conscience Amour infini de 2 jours. Que diable suis-je venu faire sur cette terre? M'accomplir. Découvrez la miraculeuse noix de Sacha Inchi. Cette plante oléagineuse a une teneur très élevée en protéines, avec tous les acides aminés et acides gras essentiels pour le bien-être maximum de la santé humaine. Enfin, j'offre la dentisterie reconstructive à un prix très abordable. Je suis guidé par les enseignements de Sri Aurobindo et de la mère. Depuis le 29 février 1956, le supramental agit sur Terre en tant que puissance évolutive active. Une nouvelle phase d'évolution a commencé au milieu de l'effondrement du vieux monde. La conscience Amour infini est une invitation à participer à une aventure de conscience inédite. Veux-tu nous rejoindre? Amour infini.